I want to tell you how I crossed, not the version I told my mother, the real one. The one I have never said out loud, because saying it out loud makes it true. I did not want to leave. Understand that first. Zimbabwe is my mother's cooking, and my father's grave, and the smell of rain on hot dust. Nobody leaves that because they are brave. You leave because you are hungry. The money at home had stopped meaning anything. I had a diploma in a plastic sleeve and no work to put it to. My mother was boiling the same vegetables for the third day, and I was a grown man eating food a widow could not spare. Everyone knew someone in South Africa, a cousin in Johannesburg, a brother in Musina. They came back at Christmas with new shoes and a big radio, and they never told you the truth of how they got there. Now I know why. I did not have a passport. Getting one was months of queues and money I did not have. So I chose the other way, the way they call the border jump. I told my mother I had found piecework in town. I took a bag and I took the bus south. The bus emptied out at Beitbridge, and the town hit me like a wall of noise. Touts, money changers, men who could smell a first-timer the way a dog smells fear. I held my bag against my chest and tried to look like I knew where I was going. A man found me before I found anyone. Friendly, smiling. He called himself a guide, a border runner. He said for a fee he would take me across, through a gap he knew, away from the officials. I had heard the word for men like him. Magumaguma. The magumaguma are the jackals of that border. Some of them guide you, some of them rob you in the bush where no one can hear. Some do far worse. I knew all of this, and I went with him anyway because hunger makes you brave in all the wrong ways. We waited until dark. There were 7 of us, 2 women, 5 men. We paid half up front, and we were promised the rest was due on the other side. We walked out of the lights of town and into the black bush, and the town noise died behind us. Then I heard it. Water. The Limpopo. In the dry season, they say you can wade it. But the rains had come, and the river was fat and brown and moving fast. And the Limpopo is not empty. The Limpopo has teeth. Crocodiles. Everybody knows someone the river took. The guide said, "Hold the rope, keep moving, do not stop, do not scream." He said the ones who drown are the ones who panic. Then he stepped into the black water, and one by one, so did we. I have never been so afraid in my life. The water pulled at my legs, something moved past me in the dark, and my heart stopped. One of the women slipped, and the whole line froze. And then we were across, dripping and shaking on the far bank, in another country, South Africa. But the river was only the first wall. Ahead of us rose the fence, a great wall of razor wire, roll upon roll of it, glinting in the moonlight. They built it to keep out people exactly like me. I looked at it and I understood how little a country wants you. The runners knew a place where the wire had been cut and bent before. We went through on our bellies, one at a time, dragging our bags through the dirt. The wire took skin from my back and blood from my arm. I still carry that scar. I earned it crossing into a place that did not want me. On the far side, in the dark, the guide's smile was gone. Now came the second payment, and then more than the second payment. They wanted everything. Phones, shoes, the little money sewn into our clothes. This is the part the Christmas visitors never tell you. I gave them what I had, and I counted myself lucky. Because for the 2 women in our group, the price the jackals demanded was not money. I will not describe what I heard in that bush. I only know I could do nothing, and that helplessness has never left me. Then they melted back toward the river to wait for the next desperate group. And we were left in a foreign country, robbed, wet, bleeding, and free, if you can call it that. We started walking toward the lights of Musina because there was nothing else to do but walk. Musina at dawn was full of people like me. You can spot us, the wet shoes, the torn clothes, the eyes that keep checking over the shoulder. A whole town built at the edge of a country on the traffic of the desperate. I'd no money left for the taxi to Johannesburg. So I did what the others did. I stood at the road and I begged a lift from the truckers heading south, and I traded the only thing I had left, which was work. I would offload cargo, I would owe a favor, I would make myself useful and small. And even then, it was not over. Because now I was in South Africa with no passport and no stamp, which means I did not exist. Any policeman could send me back. Any employer could refuse to pay me and dare me to complain. I had crossed the river only to become invisible. I phoned my mother from a stranger's phone. I told her the town was good and the work was starting soon. I told her not to worry. I have been telling her a gentle version of my life ever since. Every person who jumped that border is protecting someone from the truth. In time, I found work, hard work, cheap work, the work nobody born here wants. I sent groceries home through the Malaysia, the cross-border couriers. My mother got her sugar and her cooking oil and thought her son was doing well in the city of gold. But I want you to know what it cost. I did not just cross a river, I left a piece of myself on that riverbank with those two women. I learned that a border is not a line on a map, it is a machine, and it is fed with people like me. So when you see us, the Zimbabweans, washing your car, guarding your gate, laying your bricks, do not ask us why we do not just go home. We know exactly what home costs to leave. We paid it in full, in the dark, in a river with teeth. I made it. Thousands do not. Their names are known only to the river and to the jackals and to the mothers still waiting for a call that will never come. I say a small prayer for them every time I cross a bridge. That is how I crossed. That is the story under the new shoes and the big radio. If you have ever jumped a border or waited at home for someone who did, tell me in the comments. And stay, there are more of these true, hard stories to tell, and I will tell them here.